We're going to start with our libations. And let's see, we had left off, we've been praying, let's see, the prayer on page 145 these last few times. But this time, we'll just offer our own prayer, and then we'll follow that with the fire breaths, which should be 200. But remember that if it starts to make you feel kind of lightheaded, or you're like, this is too much for right now or for today, or I've been practicing enough for this, just do deep, steady breathing until the end. And it's just something you practice every day, or regularly, should I say, and then you build up strength as you do it, just like anything else. All right. We pour in honor of Sankofa, and we answer with Ashe. We call to our ancestors who had wombs, who knew how to heal wombs, who cherished wombs, and who passed on this sacred wisdom of womb knowledge, generation to generation. We call on our matrilineal ancestors, our aunts, our grandmothers, our sisters, and all of the people in between that we have met, who have helped impact us for the better, and who now look over us to help us on our journey of womb wellness and life wellness and spiritual wellness and reclamation of our ancestors and reclamation of indigenous practices and ancient traditions. We call on these ancestors to with us and heal us in this circle and in our everyday lives as we grow and change and strive to be better. Ashe. Now you can take this next moment in silence to think by name any particular ancestors or spirit guides that you would like to call to be with you at this time. Ashe. We're now going to do our fire breaths. When you breathe in, your stomach should go out. When you breathe out, your stomach should go in. We're going to take 3 deep cleansing breaths first, and then we're going to do, you can do 150 to 200. started losing count. I was like, but this is just something that can bring that air right to your brain. I'm sure you feel a little more clear. I think when we do only 100, like we did last month, I don't really feel it as much. But I think, probably if maybe you've been a smoker or you just have a little bit weaker lungs, 50 to 100 will, do it for you. But it's a way to, build your lungs, learn to get your lungs filled with air and breathe in that manner. A lot of people really struggle, to do that. I've struggled at points in my life. When I first started doing this, like my chest was so tight, it felt like craziness to expand myself. But I mean, I was always sitting, like this, and I think that also contributed. But yes, it's something that it's really important, I think, to be able to, breathe not only properly, but, with strength, especially when you are trying to do things like incorporate sacred movements such as womb yoga or just womb dancing or whatever it is in life. Let's see. And play all this weird music now, you guys, because I don't want my videos taken down by copyright reasons. So now I have all these like really strange rap instrumentals, and I'm like, I never know what I'm gonna get. Sometimes I'm listening to them and it's like, what's to say? Oh, here we go. Oh, I had the page all earmarked. I didn't even realize. All right, so this is, we're going to just start off with Women Who Run with the Wolves. This is by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. I feel like everybody has this book on their shelves, and I feel like we all kind of pick at it too. It's a rare individual who goes front to back. This is me attempting to go front to back, and I only made it so far, I think, halfway. And I'm usually somebody who can get there, but it's just so much, It's like when every story is so deep and so symbolic and so rich in history, and then it makes you think of all the other folk tales, and how that connects. And it's like she has a European, I'm pretty sure, background as well as the Mexican background. And she references several, different cultures throughout the book, but it's a very intense book. It's so filled with knowledge because it's just so much, with that oral tradition of people who pass on stories. Europeans kind of had it, but, they had a whole, only certain people can write thing, which kind of put a damper on a lot of that. And then, they have their tales, but it's nothing in comparison to the oral traditions of like African cultures and Native American cultures all across the Americas. I mean, people would pass on verbatim stories that were, of extraordinary length. And, it was a huge event to hear these stories. And so, when you hear the oral wisdom from cultures like that, every word is carefully chosen. Every, moment is something that you kind of have to pay attention to. That's what I really love about it. That's what I really love. Even like African-American folk tales, we still do that same thing where every word is kind of chosen in a way that meant something. And, sometimes you have to look into the context of the times, but that's still there, those layers are still there. And that's, it's just the power of, orators, people of that tradition. So this book, I'm on page 416, and she titled this part, The Scapecoat. Sometimes in my work with women, I show them how to make a full-length scapecoat from cloth or some other material. A scapecoat is a coat that details in painting, writing, and with all the manner of things pinned and stitched to it, all the name calling a woman has endured in her life, all the insults, all the slurs, all the trauma, all the wounds, all the scars. It's her statement of her experience of being scapegoated. Sometimes it takes only a day or two to make such a coat. For others, it takes months. It's exceedingly helpful in detailing all of the hurts, the slams, and slashes of a woman's life. At first, I made a scapecoat for myself. It soon became so heavy, it needed a chorus of muses to carry the train. I had in mind that I would make this scapecoat, and then, having put all this psychic refuse together into one psychic object, I would disperse some of my old woundedness by burning the scapecoat. But I kept that coat hung from the ceiling in the hallway, and every time I walked near it, instead of feeling bad, I felt good. I found myself admiring the ovarios of the woman who could wear such a coat and still be walking four square, singing, creating, wagging her tail. I found this all to be true of the woman I worked with. They never wanted to destroy their scapecoats once they made them. They wanted to keep them forever. The nastier, the gorier, the better. Sometimes we also called them battle coats, for they are proof of the endurance, the failures, and the victories of individual women and their kinswomen. It's also a good idea for women to count their ages not by years, but by battle scars. How old are you? People sometimes ask me. I'm 17 battle scars old, I say. Usually people don't flinch and rather happily begin to count up their own battle scar ages accordingly. As the Lakota painted glyphs on animal hides to record the events of winter, and the Nahua and the Maya and the Egyptians had their codices recording the great events of the tribe, the wars, the triumphs. Women have their scapecoats, their battle coats. I wonder what our granddaughters and great-granddaughters will think of our lives recorded thusly. I hope it will all have to be explained to them. Let there be no mistake about it, for you have earned it by the hard choices of your life. If you are asked your nationality, ethnic origin, or bloodline, smile enigmatically and say Scar Clan. All right, so that was just a small portion of the book, but I thought that was such a beautiful representation of, the power of words and the power of reclaiming the words that are thrown at you. And also, the idea of centering yourself after the trauma through, sorting out the trauma in such a, thought-provoking way. So anyways, that wasn't just to say everybody go out and get a long denim coat and start sewing on it or, start writing on it. But just to say, there are so many ways that we could, utilize the same concept. We can, write that in our journal, womb journal, have a page or many pages, or maybe, have a whole separate journal for that type of stuff. And, really addressing the trauma in a way that is creative and artistic is absolutely one of the ways that I encourage people work through anything that's going on with their womb or their life. That's why with the my womb healing workbooks, I have so many little artistic projects and little rituals and things to do. It's because I think, I found it helps. I found it really helps to, look at things from a very different perspective. It's like the tarot card, the Hanged Man or whatever, it's just looking at something from a different perspective. It's looking at something in a whole new light. So yes, let's see. Oh, and that reminds me about the shawl or quilt that we can or should be making, or whatever art project you're making for each gateway. I totally scrapped all my ideas from earlier, and I'm redoing them because I did just randomly get this urge to do a quilt and like maybe just, I'm like, it's just one square at a time, right? That doesn't seem like that big of a deal or that hard to do. And so yeah, I'm like gonna try and make myself the quilt kind of similar to how, you know, she was talking about it, and see, you know, if I can make myself little squares. I'm probably gonna get a pattern because I don't see how I know I'm like so new. I don't see how I would do it without one. But yeah, I'm gonna try and make a little quilt square for each gateway and just see what I come up with at the end and what I end up creating. So yeah, with that said, and so that will be kind of like, that's kind of our own scapecoat in a way. You know, ours is going to be a lot more beautiful of a representation, and ours is going to be celebrating, you know, our journey through the gateways. But in the same way, you know, it's you're wearing your journey. And maybe if you end up making a shawl of some sort, you crochet or you knit or you sew, or you know, whatever you do that's wearable, yeah, you could make a shawl and it'll be something beautiful to wear. So I don't know, I'm gonna try, you guys. I'm really gonna try and sew and see what I can come up with in that regard. But that's here in the book somewhere. The freedom quilt. I'll put up some, or the freedom shawl, or what is it called? The Sanab shawl. I don't even remember, you guys. I'm going to put it up on the Patreon for the people who don't have the book. I what it is, what I'm talking about, so that we can all do this, since it's still February, you know what I mean? If you haven't done it, I don't know if I haven't really been clear or anything. I feel like I haven't been clear because I've barely been doing it. So I don't see, yeah, anyway. So I'll put that up to where what page that is on. Now we're on page 152. This is all we're reading today, page 152, 153. We're talking transitional dietary practices, gateways 1 to 3. We'll have breakfast, lunch, dinner. We're going to talk nutritional supplements, internal cleansing, physical activity, rejuvenation bath, heal thyself, all the clay, all this stuff. Okay, we're going in. We have the kidney, liver, flesh. I'm going to go back to page 80 to read that out loud for you if you do not have your book. So the before breakfast kidney, liver, flesh, 2 tablespoons of Colonese or cold pressed extra virgin olive oil with equal parts of castor oil. So you can just do one of those at a time. You can mix them. That one's kind of up to you. 12 drops of liquid kyolic garlic or 2 fresh garlic cloves crushed. Then we are on to juice of 1 lemon or lime, or 1 to 2 tablespoons of organic apple cider vinegar. You add a pinch of cayenne pepper. If you do not have high blood pressure, you can add that pinch of cayenne pepper to help really get everything cleansed and warmed up. And then you put in purified or distilled warm water, like room temperature. You should not have to like regulate the temperature as it enters your body. It should be a little warmer, maybe even than room temperature water. Put it into that. So usually I've always done just the extra virgin olive oil, the fresh garlic cloves, the and lemon or lime or apple cider vinegar. I've done all of those, and then the cayenne pepper and some warm water and drink. There's not much, you know what I mean? Like, do your best. It's but you know, I found when you're waking up super early in the morning, like if it's 4 a.m, no one else is up, and you mix that up and you know you're drinking it and you're feeling like really in the zone, it's not as bad. But you know, it's like it's not that easy if you're trying to do it at like 11. You've just crawled out and who knows, it's a lot harder. So if you're following the lifestyle, that's my goal this week. My goal this week is to be waking up at 4 every day and trying to get into that habit and trying to figure out that sweet spot of when to fall asleep so that it like works out, you know what I mean, in the morning. So anyway, So there, you got your kidney liver flush, but it's flushing your kidneys and your liver, okay? And I'm going to be doing that because I'm trying to get, cleansed from all the alcohol and things like that, I guess, like meats and things that I've been eating in the past. And yeah, just trying to help out my body. So I have some fresh garlic cloves and some olive oil and stuff sitting in my kitchen waiting to go, some cayenne pepper. All right. For breakfast, we should be having, this is the time to bust out the NutriBullet, get a NutriBullet, right? There's like a $50 NutriBullet now. And I mean, it'll do, you know what I mean? It'll do. You just get yourself, blitzing, and I think you can go to, sometimes you can check like Goodwill and stuff, and people will drop off their blender. And you know what I've heard a lot of people are headed off to Goodwill lately because of the condo show. There's been like an uptick in like donations. Maybe someone got like an go check it out and like just see, because you never know. Or Craigslist, maybe somebody's like already done trying to be good for the year, and you can get a cheaper blender for up there. So anyways, use a blender, and like that I think is the most important tool. Like you don't even need the book, y'all, but you need a blender. Okay, I would say a blender. And then my other goal that I feel like it's really difficult to be vegan without, and I've had it before, is the food processor. I just think it makes it easier. I think it's easier to use than the blender usually. Depending, unless you have like a NutriBullet, which I think, kind of makes sauces pretty well. Anyways, we have no bananas, so no like nice cream or whatever. We're not trying to like overload on the carbs because we're still transitioning or whatever. So we're trying to eat, all of the really good fruits. So get yourself lots of frozen fruit and, be putting it all in there. Get, some, I guess you can put like, soaked chia seeds in there. I've done that before, and blend up, like crunchy or anything. You can put different kinds of powders and stuff in there, like the hemp powders and different things to make them a little more filling. But yes, eating the smoothies consistently is a really crucial part. Let's see here. I'm gonna like scoot a little closer. I feel like it made sense for me to be back there for a little while. But now, all right, so let me see. She says acid fruits, grapefruit, lemons, limes, oranges, tangerines. Subacid fruits, apples, pears, plums, cherries, berries, peaches. Do not mix the acid and the subacid fruits together. No bananas. Include cooked whole wheat dairy-free pancakes with maple syrup 1 to 3 times a week, or rice, soy, sesame, or almond milk. Okay, so that's something I'll go on what's it called, YouTube, and find some like good looking pancake recipes for us, some like good like vegan ones, because I know you can make them with like bananas, you can make them with all sorts of stuff, and it can get really tasty. So we'll figure out some like and I know I have whole wheat flour. So anyways, so yeah, we have to get some whole wheat flour and make some pancakes. Some of the times we've got to do our smoothies. And then also I'm going to recommend just making chia puddings. Is super simple. And you can like, put some agave. I always say honey because I say fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I know that's not exactly vegan, but I don't really like all of the other sweeteners. I'm just a honey person. So I always put honey on stuff. But yeah, just getting the chia and then putting hella fresh fruit in there. The chia is so good for you. It's pretty filling if you use enough of it. It's very quick. It's so simple to make, right? You can pre-make it. You just put all that chia in a box. You can put juice to have soak into the chia, plant milk. The juice like adds a whole nother level to it. I didn't even know about that until one of my neighbors here in this community I live in. She brought over some chia pudding for my kids, and I was like, what? This has like the craziest flavor, but it looks like you did not. It's just chia and bananas as far as I can see. She's like, oh, that's like the cranberry juice. I was like, oh my goodness, of course. So if you can get a healthy juice too, or just put like a splash of juice in there for some flavor, you know, it doesn't even have to be a super healthy juice. But yeah, and then you put you can just use water. If you have, you know, honey and different flavors, you can just use water, but I like to use the plant milk. And you can put hemp powder or whatever, was it hemp, you know, powdered hemp, that can go in there, and you know, nobody will, you can't taste it, but it adds another layer of health to your chia seeds. And I mean, this one is really good for kids too. My kids love it. They think it's like a pudding, you know what I mean? I mean, it is a pudding, but they love it. So I think that one's also an easy one for like the family, if you can get them to eat it. I know some adults are like squeamish about everything. But anyways, yeah, like, so for breakfast, that's kind of my recommendation: a smoothie, pancakes, to, you know, round it off, or some chia pudding, something of that nature. And yeah, just really make sure you're nice and full. Don't starve yourself. It's not like a diet. It's just a dietary practice change. All right. What did she say? Eating fruit and drinking fruit juices is done 1 hour before the meal, by the way. Sorry, I think I skipped that. When you have, if you want to go on Queen's site and get Green Life to add to your smoothies, that also really adds another like level. But I mean, you can just go to the store and just get, you know, spirulina and all of those green powders if you want to make your own, and you're like, I want to know every little thing, you know, and I just want to have it in bulk. That would be great too. But she does have a really good blend that you can mix with water and just drink down, or you can mix with your smoothies, which is how I usually do it. And just put like a tablespoon of that in, and it's like a green. Queenafua.com. I'm pretty sure it's just queenafua.com. It's yeah. And she has like it's not really like you can give the link to like the shop, because it's all just kind of there. You just kind of click on it and scroll through, and you'll have to scroll through most of the products. Yeah. You'll have to just scroll through most of the products to find what you're looking for. But yeah, her Green Life, I highly recommend, and her Breath of Life, super highly recommend, especially if you struggle with sacred words, or if you've been struggling with your breathing, or if you want to have something that's nice to open up your breathing when you are kind of feeling sick, or any of that, you know what I mean? Or if you're trying to do your fire breaths and you want to add an extra element to it, her Breath of Life is super awesome. Those are the two things I always buy from her. Let's see. Where was I? Lunch. Okay. Oh, so the milks she recommends were rice, soy, sesame, or almond milk. I didn't even know sesame milk was a thing. I'm gonna be real. I didn't know that. That sounds interesting. I'm gonna look for it. But now, you know, there's also hemp milk. I think hemp milk, I feel like I would mix another milk, like rice milk or something, to kind of like water it down a little, but it works. Like, hemp milk's not that bad, especially when you're baking. You're not gonna like really notice that much. I'm always adding hemp to stuff, y'all. I love it. And you can get it at Costco for like bulk. I have this big bulk thing of hemp that I've been using forever. And that's the other thing I like about chia. You go to Costco, get that big bag of chia. That lasts. Like, you know, that is like, I say that's like a superfood struggle meal, y'all, because it will like, you don't need that much chia, especially when you're starting out eating it. You don't even need that much chia to really fill yourself up and, you know, have a decent meal with that fresh fruit, you know. So anyways, it's really good, I think, price wise, especially compared to other superfoods and stuff. So for lunch, another juice, but this one is kind of focused more on the vegetable side of it. So it says you can have 8 to 12 ounces of a vegetable juice. diluted with 8 to 12 ounces of water. I'll put up some recipes but I mean, you can try and look up some of the like more green oriented, vegetable oriented. I mean, you could still put like a couple pineapples or something in there to get it like drinkable and sweet and a little bit. But then also kind of there are ways to make, those tomato juices and V8 type of juices and smoothies. And that could be kind of a focus on learning to do something like that, making a more savory type of smoothie for your lunch. But then also I would say, what's it called? What was I going to say about the food? Oh, making it, you know how people make the smoothie bowls in the morning? You could definitely make some kind of, cold soup for the lunch would also be an idea. So then it also moves on to, she says, don't forget to add some like kind of green life or other, powders to your smoothies to help enhance the dietary factors. So that's just something you're slowly going to start buying more and more of is, those different powders and trying something like just do it like once a month, add another one to the, and see how it treats you. So large raw salad, use red and or green cabbage as a base, adding okra, kale, cauliflower, turnip greens, mustard greens, broccoli, or seaweed in any form, such as kelp, dulce, hijiki, wakame, nori. If you'll notice, her salads are super loaded. It's not just like a bunch of spinach leaves, you know what I mean? It's a really hefty meal. And when you make these really hefty salads, these really hefty raw salads, trick is probably, cut everything pretty small. You need to make a really good dressing. And, really, when you're putting all your time and effort into, like massaging that kind of really colorful salad, it does really make you feel excited to eat it a lot more than, if you just try and buy that stuff or buy it like pre-made or anything like that. I mean, you should, if you want to buy a pre-made salad, definitely go for it. But just, when you get that base salad from the store, that's like not just a salad, you just put dressing on that. There needs to be, cauliflower, beans, all sorts of vegetables taste pretty good in a salad when you put some dressing on them and, you get it all mixed together and, getting juicy. It tastes really good. All right. So she says no tomatoes for right now. But include plenty of sprouts such as alfalfa and mung bean. I think it's probably because they're so acidic, and while you're transitioning, I'm sure that could be an issue. So proteins, you should for lunch only have, would be added to your salad or be on the side, sprouts, beans, peas, tofu, lentils, or texturized vegetable protein, which is a soy. So it's basically tofu, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's like it's soy. So texturized vegetable protein though is pretty cheap, and that stuff, like I've seen people make like chicken nuggets and all sorts of really good looking stuff with that. So if you are a flesh eater in transition, prepare baked fish, soy chicken, or organic chicken 1 to 3 times a week only. Include raw soaked nuts, almonds, filberts, walnuts, pecans. Avoid cashews and peanuts, including roasted peanuts. You can also add seeds to your salad, such as sunflower or pumpkin seeds. So those are your proteins, that's what you're also giving to add that filler. And, speaking of seeds in a salad, I've really had people like really dress up seeds, like vegan people really dress up seeds. One time, my friend, she invited me over to she had like a new boyfriend who was like a vegan chef, and we were like, okay, cook for us. And so he just powdered up some of those seeds with some taco, flavorings, and it tasted pretty pretty close. Like the flavor tasted close. I mean, it was the texture, obviously. It's always the texture with vegan food. But anyways, it tasted really good and really close. So I never underestimate the power of like a well-flavored seed, or just adding seeds and, you know, adding your, don't forget to add your spices to your salad so that you can take it up to the even next notch. You know, salads are pretty tasty, and, you know, it's best to go all out. You know, especially when you're trying to transition and make sure you're not getting fatigue and stuff. It's best to, you know, really make sure it's a filling and well-rounded salad. So starches, you can eat grains 4 to 7 times a week. This should be eaten in moderation. Choose one of the following: millet, bulgur, brown rice, couscous, baked white potato or yam, corn on the cob, steam or eat raw, whole wheat and sprouted bread, dry toasted. So I think definitely corn on the cob, if you know, cut it off and put that in, it's like a really sweet and nice addition to your salad as well. And all of this can be added to your salad, just to be eaten with it as well. Some of these she cooks, you know, fully. At this time, I think you can cook it fully. Some of these can be just, you pour the hot water on it and let it soak, and it gets softer, and, you know, you can add it then. And then it retains a lot more of its nutrients that way. All right, so dinner, you repeat lunch, but after the eat protein or starches. Eat only the live foods. You can have salads of fruits and vegetables. You can have steamed vegetables. You can have a vegetable soup with, you know, or you can just have some kind of vegetable broth, you know, if you've made some kind of homemade broth. So yeah, the evening would be, you know, the really delicious cooked vegetables, but you don't eat the starches or the, what was it? The starches or the proteins. So yeah, the tofu and the seeds and the nuts and all that, we're going to leave it out. All right, so we're down here to nutritional supplements. Heal Thyself Green Formula has vitamins and minerals. You can take this 3 times a day, or instead take some form of chlorophyll, such as powdered wheatgrass, or powdered spirulina with distilled water, powdered blue-green manna with distilled water. So all of those, you would take about a teaspoon to a tablespoon and mix it with 1 to 2 ounces of water. So that was chlorophyll as an option, spirulina, blue-green manna. There you go. So that's those are some of the ingredients of the Green Life. Like when you see hers, it's a really rich color. I love that stuff though. But yeah, it may be a good idea if you're trying to do this really long term, have, you know, an illness that you're trying to, you know, help along the way. You know, a lot of people are like, you know, your diet does nothing, blah, blah, blah. Like you're not going to cure, you know, these chronic illnesses at home. And that's so true. Like you're not going to cure a chronic illness with an essential oil. And I'm not sure how that even, you know, was ever on the table. But like you can help be along by choosing healthier choices, by, you know, focusing on these different things. So I've been, you know, trying to cut back on meat the last few weeks, and I've definitely cut back on drinking this year. So I think somebody actually in the last video said, did you lose weight? Having to lose weight at all. I think it was just, you know, just some of the choices. I've been taking it super slow, you know. I've still been eating a little bit of meat every week, but just like I've been saying, it's those like little choices, taking it slow, making sure you're not like starving yourself. So because this isn't about, you know, like all of that. This isn't about like losing weight or, you know, disciplining ourselves into oblivion or anything. This is just about making those small changes throughout our lives that make sense, and heal ourselves. Oh, I'm losing some stuff. So there we go. All right. So if stressed, take some vitamin B complex, or because this also strengthens the nervous system and can rejuvenate skin and hair, perhaps skin eruptions as well. For poor memory and poor circulation, There's a tablespoon of granulated lecithin, lecithin, that helps to clear out the arteries for increased circulation. And that's the other reason, right, why we do the fire breathing is for the memory and the, that helping with the circulation as well. But you may need to take it, a next step. A lot of people say that, the lungs is something that really affects them. So take 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily to build immune systems and fight cold and infection. Ester C is easier on the digestive system. There's the Heal Thyself Breath of Spring. Oh, is that what she used to call it? The Breath of Spring. Now she calls it the Breath of Life. 3 drops twice a day with warm water, particularly during hay fever season. Then we have internal cleansing. If you're doing the enemas, that could be 3 times a week. You could begin by taking it 7 nights in a row, then continue 3 times a week throughout the weeks you're journeying through gates 1 to 3. Also take 3 tablets of Cascara Sagrada with 8 ounces of water before bedtime every other day. For deep cleansing, you can take 1 to 3 colonic irrigations during a 21-day fasting period. So anyways, this, the reason why you focus on the womb, on the womb, remember, because it's right on top of the womb. So it's like, let's say you've been, and then, you're lactose intolerant and it makes you super bloated and it hurts and it gives you cramps and all those things like that. Working with probably most everybody could use, an enema professionally. But yeah, you can do these things at home and it affects your womb because it helps it up off of it and relieve it and allow it to float freely in your body, which is ultimately what you want. That's when, your womb is, it feels really satisfied and able to move because it's just not being weighed down. And that's, it can be really affected if you also like a water cleanse or a water fast. And then there's also, like you can take the not stool softener, what's that, tea? You know what I'm talking about. There's like a tea smooth move or something, right? And like those types of teas will also like detox teas. So there's other ways you can also try to do a little bit of internal cleansing. But no matter what you do, make sure you're staying highly hydrated because it's not about you losing water, right? It's not about that. It's about, really cleansing your bowels and your internal body. All right, so physical activity. Make sure you're doing womb exercises 15 to 30 minutes daily. You can go to Gateway 3 Sacred Movements, and you can also just turn on the music and, move freely. You can just do some yoga. You can, just do whatever your body really feels, but make sure you're moving. And start that off with your fire breathing. She reminds us to do the fire breath, and then do a fire breath meditation. What is that? I don't remember that. Okay. Anyways, I'm not sure what that part's about. All right, rejuvenation bath. 1 to 4 pounds of Epsom salts in your bath 7 nights straight, or use 1 pound of Dead Sea salt with the same routine. Time for soaking 15 to 30 minutes. Then shower and wash off all of the salts. Do not use bath salts if you have high blood pressure, however. Use it, just, choose a different herb. And if you don't have salts too, you can choose a different herb and use, to have a bath. But Epsom salts really help with the body, especially if you're moving more than usual or you're, for whatever reason, your body is just really, it takes a toll on you, to be making all these changes that your body's not used to, doing things that you're just, not, it hurts, right? To change. That's what they say. It hurts your brain. It hurts everything. That's why little kids struggle and teenagers struggle and adults struggle who have to change. It's because it physically hurts to change. So using the Epsom salts or the Dead Sea salts will really help with the physical part of that. Heal Thyself, Master Herbal Formula 2. Boil 5 to 6 cups of purified or distilled water, turn off the flame, add 3 teaspoons of the herbs, and strain in the morning and drink before, all of that before 2 p.m. So if you do not have the Heal Thyself Master Formula, you can purchase your own detox or, healing formula, however it is, that you like, whatever detox, teas, or it can be as simple as just a chamomile tea, you know what I mean? But just make yourself a healing potion that you make with as a ritual for yourself in the night. A nice strong tea, a nice strong herbal remedy to pray over and sip on and heal yourself with the next day. Let's see. Then also clay application. She reminds us to, use clays on our face, on our body, our hands, our feet for different healing rituals. But we're going to learn more about that in Gateway 4 for sure. But, just starting to add the clays to your life. Oh no, we're dying. I'm almost done though. Let's see. That finally, other major cures: drink 2 to 4 quarts of distilled water daily. Add to the juice 1 lemon or lime or a sacred crystal to your water to help add that spiritual element to it. Talk into the crystal, bless it, and then place it in your water. Be sure not to drink your crystal, but just drink the water and allow it to be purified and expanded by that crystal's spiritual properties and energy. All right, that's it for today, and that will help with your throat, y'all. That's that sacred words, drinking with the crystal in the water. That's that pro tip, sacred word tip. As well, and that's simple because I think a lot of people have crystals at home where they can use, make your own concoction. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next Monday. I'm thinking next Monday I'm gonna just have the time be switched to 8 a.m. because I just keep starting at 8 a.m. anyway. So I think that's just what time we're gonna start doing the sister circle at. But at any rate, no problem. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, may your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads. Thank you.